Well, welcome. Welcome to the webinar on the benefits of professional coaching. I,
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I'm Carol Vickers. This is
Mm-hmm.
my partner, Christal Duncan, and our
Mm-hmm.
Director of Customer Experience, Client Experience, Sabrina Lagar. We are here to just share with you some of the some of the maybe misunderstandings about coaching, what it is, what it isn't, our approach to
Mm-hmm.
coaching and how that differs from other coaching methods, other philosophies of coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and to give you a sense of what our coaching model is and a demonstration of it in action so that you have a real opportunity to see how we do coaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, One of the things that was the inspiration behind this is because we do coach training regularly. You in particular have. I'm actually curious, Carol, how many people do you think you have
Ooh,
trained to
I
become a
think it's
coach out there in the wild?
probably over 100.
Hmm.
I would
Yeah,
imagine it'd
I
be
would I would
likely
imagine it's
more than
probably more
50
than
or
that at this point
200
in time.
people over
Hmm.
the last almost 20 years. Mm.
Right, which is how you and I ever started, how we ever connected was because you were my coach trainer
That's right.
many moons ago. And over the years, you have been my coach for many years, and now you're my business partner, along with Colin Kingsmill. And, one of the reasons I would say that it's the inspiration for us to want to be able to do a webinar or a podcast, however people are going to be hearing this. Um, one of the biggest reasons is because there are first of all, a lot of misunderstandings around coaching. And maybe misunderstandings is too harsh of a word, but maybe a lot of different interpretations is maybe what I would say.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely. I
Mhm.
think, and it's fascinating as having been in the coaching profession now for almost 20 years, I really thought that we might be further ahead than we are,
Yeah,
to be
I know.
honest,
Yeah.
as a profession, in that there are still very many people who have a complete lack of information about
Mhm.
what coaching is. And when I introduce myself, I still get the question about what sport, which
Yeah.
fascinates me. But anyway,
Yeah.
it does
What
exist.
sport?
But coaching
Yeah.
as a profession actually grew from some of the principles of sports coaching
Mhm.
and also had a healthy dose of personal development work that began 20, 25 years ago,
Mhm.
where people began to see that a coach could help them in their life, not just
Mhm. Mhm.
on the
Mhm.
soccer field. And because of that, it has grown and continues to grow because the realization of the value of having a coach in your life has
Mhm.
really expanded.
Yeah.
And yet now, when people think of it, some of what happens is if you have not had a good coach, and there's some definitions around that.
Yeah, sure.
But some of what we hear, and Christal, I think you and I have talked about it, is that people have the expectation that they will be given information, they'll be told what to do.
You'll get homework.
Yes.
Yeah, which I mean is entirely okay.
Hmm.
Um, or that it's remedial. That is one of the things that is always important for people to understand. We are not coaching is not therapy. It can be therapeutic, but it's not therapy. It's not, we're not going to be digging back into all your past and asking you, why are you the way you are? That's not going to be part of the conversation. One of the things that I remember in the coach training that I took with you, Carol, in a different school, was the idea that wherever you are is where we begin. And that's what's so energizing about coaching as a coach, let alone for the person that is being coached, but as a coach. So I know we have a presentation, but can you give us a little bit of understanding of what that looks like? Because we are going to have a quick coaching, what's the word?
Demonstration.
Yes, demonstration. Thank you. Yeah, perimenopause brain right there. We're gonna have a quick coaching demonstration so people can see this, but can you explain that a little bit more, expound on that wherever you are? Like what does that mean in terms
Yes.
of? when we are a coach, how we approach that.
Well, the beauty of the coaching approach that we have
Mhm.
taken, that
Mhm.
we have expanded on and really, I think, developed as a very clear way of being in the world as a
Mhm.
coach.
Mhm.
A lot of the foundation of it is from appreciative inquiry.
Mhm.
And because of that, it really enters every conversation
Sure.
from from looking at it not from a deficit side, but
Mhm.
from what is working. And one of the books that we have been referring to in our work together as a coaches collective is Miriam Subirana's book, Flourishing
Mhm.
Together. And
Mhm.
she defines appreciative inquiry coaching as it energizes positive change in a person or a team. She says, as a process, it facilitates discovering, expanding, and sustaining the roots of your success, which creates an image of the future
Mhm.
and designs ways to get there. So it is really stepping in to a conversation with in someone in their life
Mhm.
and asking some opening questions which really get a sense of where are you? And let's
Mhm.
begin there.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm. Yeah. And what we're about to demonstrate and some of the what we're going to be talking about when people become coaches, it once you have coach training, it's like the toothpaste is out of the tube and you can't squeeze it back. You can't go back to the way that you were before.
Mm.
And I don't mean that in a negative way, like you're ruined for life. I mean, it literally, your perspective on possibilities changes, not in a Pollyanna way, because I think the word positive in our contemporary culture right now is very overused. It's just like, just think positively. That's not what this is, but it's actually about the positive core, and helping our clients understand what is working and
Mhm.
how and how we grow from there. And I think that it's important to let people know that coaching works. It
Mhm.
works no matter where they find themselves. So in the course of a week, I have coached people across the kitchen table, but I've also been coaching with CEOs of major international organizations. And I've
Yes.
been having similar conversations, different context, different stakes in different ways, but the process and the ability to carry those conversations at the core is the same. And it's because of that training, and it's
Mhm.
because of the competencies and the framework that I have built through my coach training and through my career that brings us to this conversation today,
It
actually.
does.
Mhm.
And Sabrina, you participated in the coach training that I was part of, and it was very specific. And
Hmm.
Mhm.
that's one of the fascinating things about coach training is
Mhm.
that it can be very specific to a particular group of people.
Mhm.
And that word positivity made me think, Sabrina, that something that we brought up in the pregnancy and infant loss coach training was about toxic positivity
Mhm.
and how that isn't what coaching is about, is it?
Mhm.
So the fundamental piece, aside of appreciative inquiry, is also that the coach training that we have developed and that I did with Serena and that I
Mhm.
did with Christal is all based on the International Coaching Federation, the ICF core competencies. And these fit everywhere. And that's one of
Right.
the framework pieces of this program that
Mhm.
we're currently talking about is that these core competencies, once you've learned them, really do set up that standard that you were talking about, Christal, where you know how to coach everyone from someone across the kitchen table
Mhm.
right up to those top corporate offices. And the coach training provides that confidence for people in knowing how to approach a conversation.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we developed a model
Mhm.
which incorporates all of this. And I'm just going to share my screen. And I am going to apologize in advance because I didn't set up the slide
Here we
show
are.
first.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Okay, so this is where we are, the benefits of professional coaching, coach training. And in this model, there are three fundamental steps, which also echo the core competencies of the
Sorry,
ICF.
Carol, can you
Yes,
maybe use the slideshow button up at the top? Because we're seeing everything on this
are
end.
you? Okay,
Yeah,
hang on, let me just swap displays. How's that?
that's
Better?
perfect. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Do you need to see all the rest of it? Good point. Okay. So when you, in this model of coaching, what we have chosen to do is also echo the process of an appreciative inquiry.
Hmm.
So in appreciative inquiry, what we're looking at first by definition is what are we going to talk about?
Hmm.
So in this, the area that we begin every coaching conversation is with defining. And so it's looking at what is really top of mind for the person we're talking to. And we do that through three steps, looking at what they want to explore today, because we're in a current conversation. We have 45 minutes, an hour with a person. So we need to get really clear on what we're going to be talking about. And usually that means that people talk about a lot of things. So then we narrow it down a little bit more. We ask about what exactly we could focus on. And then in every coaching conversation, we also operate from that there will be some value. So an outcome, a measurable place to get to. And this is really an impactful piece for people who are taking this coaching into the business world, is that each coaching conversation has an end to it, which is definable. So we're looking to define not only what we're going to talk about, but what the client will get out of the conversation at the end. So it really does put a boundary around the conversation in a way that is measurable. And then during the coaching conversation, it really is about discovering. And this is where curiosity comes into it. And I
Hmm.
think that is one of the features and one of the real clear personality aspects that I see of everyone who is brought to the idea of being a coach, whether they're going to be opening a practice or whether they're going to be using it in their leadership, is they are fundamentally a curious person. So we do this, we operate with that. We ask questions around it because in Discover, in the area of of the coaching model, which is Discover, we're really asking questions that will help our client frame what they know that has been working, what they have available for themselves to be able to move forward, and what is that possibility of the future. And it is always held in the understanding that it isn't doesn't always have to be positive and cheery. That often what people bring to a coaching conversation is a challenge or a struggle,
Hmm.
but we don't look at it just through that lens. It isn't negative.
No. I also think, sorry, I just want to weigh in
Of
on something
course,
here.
please do.
When we're talking about the discover phase, and this may come in as we do the demonstration, um, that there's an element of the discover phase of our coaching model where we can acknowledge and recognize what's not working. And it's
Mm,
not like we're not focusing on it and drilling down like why is this not working? But we are fully capable, competent humans, right? So our whole human coaching model is built on one assumption or one presumption or that we want to maybe say, and that is that when people show up in the conversation, they're showing up as a whole human. They may not feel whole right now, or they may not be able to see all the ways that are happening, and that's totally fine, the ways that that can happen. But we're holding an agreement with them that they're a whole human. So when we're in this discover phase, that's actually part of the conversation. We're not trying to make them be positive. We're actually literally discovering about what is alive and available right now.
mm, so important. And
Mhm.
that really is a distinguishing factor about this type of coaching,
Mhm.
is that we have intentionally described it as whole human
Mhm.
because we recognize that it is who we are.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, a lot in our professional lives, we are expected to check who we are at the door. And we don't get to be all of who we are in our workplace often. We
Right.
feel we have to filter and weed out what is acceptable in the professional world. And by becoming a coach or bringing coaching into your business world, either as a leader or as someone who, in an HR perspective, or in wanting to make a difference for your colleagues, what you bring is the invitation for people to be all of who they are. And with that premise that you're describing, is that they are whole, complete, and resourceful in what they are bringing to the table.
Yep, exactly.
And that's reflected in the questions that we ask.
Mhm.
Because it's really fascinating the way you ask a question and the words that you use in a question that create the opportunity for people to see themselves in a different light. So the
Mhm.
discover phase of a conversation is often the longest because we start with developing what the topic is, think about what we're going to go, and then there's this wonderful exploration. And discover is a great way to describe it because we're not operating as the coach in this conversation that we know the answers. We're coming from a place of honest and open curiosity about what's happening for our client.
Mhm.
And then the third piece of the model is design. And this is really where it becomes practical. Because one of the important aspects of a coaching conversation is that it has a sustainability to it so that people can actually take what they have seen, the kind of light bulb moment they might have experienced, and incorporate it into what's going to happen next. So these questions that we ask in the area of design is really asking about their awareness, what's something new, what do they need to be able to take this new realization into the world, and what can they promise about it? What are the commitments they're going to make? Because coaching is not, as my husband might say, airy fairy. It is really a very grounded and practical tool and resource for leaders and human beings to use in interactions with each other. And the fascinating thing that I've seen in coaching, in teaching people to become coaches, that they apply it wherever they are.
Mhm.
So people become better parents, they become better partners, they become better siblings because they have an opportunity to see how they interact in the world in a different way.
Mhm. Mhm. So, a couple questions for you to just help people set the stage for this. Is there a particular type of person that you find is often attracted to the idea of becoming a professional coach?
Mm. I think a common theme that I hear is that they are the people who are asked for help.
Mm.
So they're the one in the group, or they're the one in their friends group, or the one in the family that people go and ask for advice, or they bring a problem to. So they're often the one that is asked in a social situation or in a professional situation to be a listener or to be a sounding board.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
they are naturally inclined to be open and available for people.
Mhm.
That's probably a common theme.
Right. Mhm. And is there an area, this is not related to that question, is there an area where you are seeing more, uh, where there is more need for coaches and that there's a rising call for true coaching, whether it's in a particular type of culture or corporate culture or anything like that? What from your perspective are you seeing?
I really see it with leaders. The
Mm.
what if it's in very interesting that if you look at job descriptions for
Mhm.
everything from a shift manager at Starbucks right up
Yeah.
to a CEO, included in the job description is coaching.
Mm.
And yet what we know is that most of those people have no idea what that is. And so being asked as a leader to be a coach is actually like asking somebody to do something that they have no idea what to do.
Right.
We're often faced with that. But the beauty of someone learning the real principles of coaching and being able to apply them as a leader, that's where we're seeing real differences and changes in corporate culture. Is that leaders are truly taking on that spirit of asking questions, of being available, of being curious, of not approaching everything like a problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah. It's an interesting juxtaposition because they're learning as they're learning to as people get coach training and they realize that they don't need to approach things as a problem to be solved. What they find is the things that they perceive to be problems actually start to solve themselves. It's a funny dichotomy of how things happen.
It is.
Hmm.
And yet, the interesting thing that I find, and I think we've both seen it as well, with
Hmm.
leaders that take a coaching approach or that become
Hmm.
trained to be
Hmm.
coaches, is they have to check their answers at the door.
Yeah, totally.
That's the one thing
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
have to let go of is
yeah.
their probably trained ability to be
Hmm.
providing solutions for people,
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
expectation that that people come to them with wanting an answer.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
as a coach, we are training people to ask questions first,
yeah.
to be curious and not jump in with advice.
Hmm.
So it's very different than being a consultant or an advisor in the
It
business world.
is. Yeah. It is very different. And it's also, and I would say that one of the main differences is that in coaching, one of the key things that you learn is how you hold space with someone for their wisdom to come to the surface in the conversation. That'd probably be one of the key things that I would say that our coach training truly helps people start to understand. Like I think a lot of your of students have joked about like the first phases of coach training is you feel like you're sitting on your hands because you're like you want to like interrupt or you want to tell people, have you tried this or have you tried that?
Yeah. And that's the nature of the people that come to coach training, is that they are
Mhm.
helpers. So
Yeah,
they
yeah,
are naturally wanting to fix and help and
yeah.
provide solutions.
Hmm. Hmm. Excellent.
So why don't we give folks a demonstration?
Hmm. Let's do
Okay.
it.
All right.
Hmm.
What I'm going to suggest, Sabrina, is you just take your camera down so it's just the two of us on the
Hmm.
screen, and I will make sure that it is set up in a way to hide non-video participants, and it just means that you and I are on the screen there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Okay, Carol, thanks for asking me to coach you today. Um, are you are you ready to be coached today?
I am. Yes, thank you.
Mm, okay. Tell me, what would you like to talk about today?
Well, I heard you use a term earlier today called plate spinning. And it comes up with that image of people just running to keep
Yeah.
one of the plates up all spinning in the air. And I have to admit that's really how I'm feeling right now, is that there
Mm,
is a lot of that juggling happening.
mhm,
And my concern is that, I guess to follow that metaphor, that one of the plates is going to fall.
mhm,
But more than that, it's that I'm going to let somebody down somewhere along the way.
mm, mhm, mm,
Yeah, I think that is certainly the flavor of it for me, is that there's a lot going on, and I would like to look at how to be of service.
mm. Okay. Can you tell me just a little bit more when you say you'd like to learn how to be of service? What does that look like or feel like for you?
Mm. it is it is what calls me forward kind of in the world, is that I have something to offer to people, to serve them in the spirit of servant leadership, in that what I can offer is intended to provide something that is of value to them. So when I think of all the different kind of hats that I wear in any given week, one of the pieces for me is that I feel is important, is that I'm providing value. And one of the areas that I've noticed over this last couple of weeks is that I feel like I am distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that case, what I really notice is that I'm not offering all of who I am in any
Mm-hmm.
given situation. And so that feels a little bit like I'm cheating people. And
Mm.
those are kind of strong words, but that they're
Mm-hmm.
not getting the best of me.
Right. Hmm. That's actually really interesting that you say that because just a quick observation, just I was writing down the language because um, the language that we use is
Mm.
is the architecture of our of how we show up in our world. And you said I'm providing, it's important because I want to feel like I'm providing value, but I'm distracted and I'm worried that I'm not providing value.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about that is that there's a value there about you that I hear coming through.
Mhm.
Can you, let's just talk about that. Let's just kind of think about that for a second or sit there. When you
Mhm.
think about the value that you bring, what is it?
Well, that's interesting because it's taking a look at value from two different, what is the
Hmm.
value, like the monetary exchange that I'm,
Yeah.
the exchange of energy, in that I want to make sure that it feels equal and
Hmm.
relative, but also the value that I hold is that people are well taken care of.
Mm.
So
Okay.
that, and that all comes from, I think, if I dig down one layer below that, is that there is a sense of fairness and justice in the world, and that people are treated with kindness. And in thinking, just saying that out loud, I would not want people to have an interaction with me where they felt they were treated anything less than kindly.
Mm. Okay.
And thank you for that moment. It goes back to something else that you and I have talked a lot about,
Mhm.
a great deal, that kindness is different than niceness. And that kindness, being clear,
Mhm.
is sometimes being direct and being honest with people.
Mhm.
And it's so fascinating. Put you in such an incredible space. What pops out for me for that is that in my head, there's a story that it takes time, and that time is that measure of value. That if I've said I'll be there for an hour, I have to stay for an hour. Or that if I've said I'm
Mm.
going to meet
Oh,
you at this time,
interesting.
that I can't be late. All of those things that measure it,
Mhm.
but that as I say it out loud, direct can be quick. So that the value doesn't have to be an extended long period of time. It can be something that happens more quickly,
Mhm.
which goes back to the challenger topic that I have, which is that there's not enough time to keep all the plates spinning.
You're stealing my lines. No, I'm just kidding. Well, because I wanted to ask you, if this is interesting because this is what I do love about coaching, sidebar, is that watching people's processes, when you hold space, then this can happen. But I want to come back for a second and ask you, at the beginning of this conversation, you said that you wanted to look at how you can feel like you're providing value. Is that at the end of
Yes.
at the end of this conversation, what is it that you want? Not what you need, not
Hmm.
what you think you should have. What do you want?
Mm. It is it is more, and thank you for asking it in that way, because it is more of an internal state
Mm,
that I want,
mm,
because the chaotic world is going to be the chaotic world.
mhm.
And so for me, it is that island of calm that I can stand on
Yeah.
in the face of it,
Mhm.
in the face of whatever is coming up next.
Right. Right. And an island of calm, like when you think about that, how do you define that for yourself? What does that
Mm.
mean to you?
Well, the mental image I get is something that I've seen done in movies or on in TV shows where the camera zooms in on the character and the rest of the people are blurred and moving very, very
Mhm.
quickly. But there's this moment where you see the main character fully focused and in full focus.
Mhm.
And what I get a sense of is that there is a way of being grounded and centered in that
Mhm.
that allows things to move by very quickly
Mm, mhm.
without feeling like I have to catch them or be attached to them, or in many cases or resolve them. So there's a
Mhm.
real visual for me around
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
about
Mhm.
what the experience would be like. And it's kind of like that scene from the movie where
Mhm.
I'm paused in focus and
Mhm.
everything's past.
Right. So what's interesting when I hear you talk about, being grounded and centered, and that those are ways that you would describe the feeling of being able to provide value, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what we started this conversation was around. How can you provide value while there's all these spinning plates, and to be grounded and centered. But I'm curious because you are very succinct in when you say that, right? Like it was like there's a direct path or line for you when I heard you say that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious that if you are not right now able to, if you don't have the assurance of being able to pull on that, like to tap into that
Mm-hmm.
quickly, yet you know what it feels like. What has changed right now that is there something that is showing is different for you that you can't tap into that as easily, or it feels like it's
Mm.
eluding you right now?
Well, in this moment, it feels like there are a lot of important priorities.
Hmm.
Now, is that ever any different? I don't know.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if I look 6 months or 6 years ago,
Hmm.
was that true? yes, it was true then. And is it true now? Yes, it's true now.
Mhm, mhm,
I think what is different as I think about it is that I know how important it is, or and it isn't just that important isn't a very accurate descriptor of it. I know what it feels like in my body when I am focused and attentive
mhm,
to either the person that's in front of me
mhm,
or the task that is in front of me.
mhm, mhm,
And there is a sense right now that I've had over this last couple of weeks, particularly, that that has been elusive. I haven't had that kind of
mm,
in my body sensation of I'm I'm absolutely here for you, or I can absolutely complete this task in the next
mhm,
35 minutes.
mhm,
And so that I think is where I've been feeling a little unease
mhm,
in this is a busy time. It's a busy time in our business. It's a busy time for a
mm,
lot of things in my life that a detail may slip by or a
mm,
person may not get what they need or I will be late for something. So there's kind of an anxiety that is there
mhm, mhm,
that isn't always there,
mhm.
but it certainly feels present in the last few weeks.
Right. Okay. Can I make an observation?
Of course, please do.
Which is what you do in coaching. You ask for permission. Um, I am hearing you talk about how the sense of being grounded and centered and focused has been around you and feeling that almost like confidence is not quite the right word, but it does instill a sense of confidence in where you're centered, right? A confidence in where you're standing um, under certain conditions. And I guess my question is this really about, or what it, maybe a better question would be, what is this really about? And I just want to give a little context for that.
Mm, mm,
Because sometimes situations change. And because of the familiarity that we had with being able to tap into being a certain way of being was always showing up in a certain situation.
mhm,
When the furniture moves in the room, it can
mhm.
feel like we've shifted too as well.
Right.
And we can personalize it.
Mm, mhm.
But in reality, it might be that we stepped out and ran out to for coffee, and while we were gone, someone switched around the furniture because they thought it would be helpful for us in our
Right.
room, and we come back and we can personalize that change.
Mm, mhm. Yes. Oops. Yes.
But is it really that what is true there in that for you right now in
Mhm.
this and when you think about it that way?
Well, what that evokes for me
Mhm,
is that some of what I'm dealing with, and you're aware of a lot of the
mhm,
circumstances,
mhm,
are temporary.
mhm, mhm,
They are circumstantial.
mhm,
They are not necessarily going to extend or be as chaotic as they are right in this moment.
mhm,
And so there is what I get from that is an invitation to be a little bit more gentle with myself
mhm,
in that if it isn't personal, if these chaotic circumstances are the room moving
mhm,
around me, that I will be able to either adapt to the change
mhm.
or I can move the furniture back. You know? It's like, no, the table goes over there for a reason.
Yeah, yeah, isn't that interesting?
That there is um, this isn't fixed in concrete.
Hmm. hmm
There's room, there's
There's
space.
room, there's space. And also, when we think about there's space, that means there's capacity. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like capacity is like this glass of water, and right
Mm-hmm.
now it's at two-thirds capacity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we are always expanding our capacity.
Yes.
And and but sometimes our capacity expands, but our recognition of it maybe has shifted a little, like we haven't yet quite seen it. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm curious, what are some areas that, is there something that you maybe when you think about it now that is part of your capacity that is expanding you that you weren't, maybe just it wasn't obvious before or evident?
So I would say this is where I would look backwards a little bit to see
Hmm.
what was normal 5 years ago
Sure.
and what more I have been able to take on and
Mm,
feel a sense of accomplishment and confidence in.
mm,
I can reflect there. There are definitely aspects of how I operate in the world that have an ease to them that probably was not there 5 years ago.
mhm,
So I can see in looking at it that my capacity doesn't, when I look at it from that perspective, my capacity doesn't feel limited.
mhm,
And even more important than that, I know that I also have the ability, or I'm gaining the ability. I wouldn't say I have
mhm.
it. I'm gaining the ability to be able to share with other people, to, well, use a term that lots of our clients use. I'm delegating, I'm
Yeah.
able to say no. I'm able to,
Mhm,
and this is perhaps the back and forth of being a coach, is that we
mhm.
are able to see for others what we can't see for ourselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as I even say those things out loud, it's like, yeah, that's exactly what I would say to someone who would come to me with an overcapacity
Mhm.
consideration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
true?
Is that true? Exactly. I remember one time, one of the great questions that I learned in coaching was, if we were sitting in opposite places, what question would you be asking me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? To think about it that way. Okay, so as we're wrapping up this very quick
Mm,
conversation, um, I'm curious because in the beginning you said, one of the things that's most important to you is that you provide value, and that you associate providing that value with being able to feel in your body
mm-hmm.
that you are not distracted, and so that has been how you have associated those two things
Yes.
in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that's shifted for you right now? And I'm not digging.
Yeah, no,
I'm
no, no,
just curious.
no, no, thank you. There, there is, and it
Yeah.
is that what I'm seeing is the temporary nature of what I'm going through right now.
Mm,
So knowing that I'm pulled in a lot of directions, and some of that is emotional, and some of it
mhm.
is actual. There's things that need to be done.
Yeah.
That there is a temporariness to it. So it is this
Mhm.
too, this too shall pass. There is going to be some sense of things being able to be put down soon,
Mhm.
and because of that, I can deliberately give myself some grace
Mhm. Mhm.
and ask for support, because that
Oh.
really is the other piece of it that is there,
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
the capacity to say, you know what, this is just a little bit over what I can do right now.
Mhm.
Could you take that on?
Yeah.
And I have, when I ask that way, I don't think there's ever been anybody who said, no, sorry, can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not a person that asks for support and help very
Yeah.
often. So I
Mhm.
think I don't overtax those resources.
Mm. Mhm. Okay. I like that. I like that because that's also within your that's a choice that you get to make for yourself, right?
It
When
is.
you're even in the middle of all these circumstances that are out of your control in many
Mm-hmm.
ways, but
Mm-hmm.
this is a choice that you can make. So if that shifted, then what, as leaving this conversation, what are you leaving with?
Mm. Well, I'm going to review the calendar and just take a
Mm,
look at what is stacked up or what feels like it's stacked up right now.
mhm,
And just, I think as much as anything, when I look at it, it isn't as daunting as it seems.
mm,
And that's partly the nature of how I have it structured. It's like, oh my God, there's all these colors and all these appointments.
yeah, yeah.
And what I began to do, and we'll finish off after this conversation, is to be able to look at it and go, okay, well, which of those am I really required to be in or support, and which can I just let go of for now,
Mhm, mhm.
and know that if I'm putting something down, just like the furniture in the room, I can change it, I can move it, I can
Yeah.
pick it up again.
Mhm, mm.
That's a practical piece that I can do.
Yeah, I like that.
Mhm.
Okay, so in the spirit of coaching, does
Mhm.
that feel like a complete conversation for you?
It really does. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Thank
Yes, my pleasure.
you. Okay.
Mm.
Hmm. Hmm. So, just to bring us back to our webinar, thank you. Shift gears. This is how we shift gears.
Yeah.
Bringing us back to the conversation of professional coaching.
Hmm.
What you demonstrated so beautifully, Christal, is how any topic can be tackled,
Hmm.
and that the relational practice that you
Hmm.
demonstrated comes from getting to know people well.
Hmm.
And that's one of the
Hmm.
things that really does happen when you become a coach, is that you
Hmm.
begin to develop this ability to be in a deep relational practice with someone quite quickly,
Hmm.
because the opportunity when you ask questions as you did is to get below the surface, below the
Right.
iceberg. We often use that metaphor of
Yeah.
the iceberg. The
Yeah.
majority of the iceberg is below the water, and your questions get there very quickly, and
Hmm.
that can happen with someone who you've only just met once or twice.
Yeah. 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 Questions are one of the most beautiful things that exist in the world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then really, when we look at the whole human coaching model,
Hmm.
found its foundation in appreciative inquiry
Hmm.
is inquiry.
Yeah.
We are
Exactly.
continuously inquiring, not telling, not advising, not
Hmm.
fixing.
Yeah.
And that's really if we looked at it as the key principle, it is about
Hmm.
that.
Yeah. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have some upcoming coach training possibilities. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're interested in learning more about them, you can head over to wholehumancoachtraining.com and all the information is there. We have different intakes and different opportunities. If you are someone who's listening to this and you are thinking that this would be fantastic for your team, we would love to work with you to help you begin to build a coaching culture in your organization and in your leadership. And we do that on the regular. So we'd love to be able to do it with you as well. Is there anything else, Carol, that you would like our listeners at this point in time to know about our coach training?
I believe that the investment in coach training, personally and professionally, is
Hmm.
something that is incredibly valuable. And I know that the right people are called to it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I know that from my own experience when I was in business and had the opportunity to become a coach. One of the things that happened after the first few hours of the training was like a sense that I was at home.
Yeah.
This was the right place for me.
Hmm.
And it grew to be an opportunity for me to see it in my organization where coaching was valued and made
Hmm.
important and and highlighted and prioritized is that other people had that sense as well, that there was a way of being in our
Yeah.
organization that reflected the coaching principles.
Yeah. Yeah, we've worked, and you in particular have done coach training with a lot of different organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so as we are leaving this our time together, what's your one thing you would like to leave with our listeners, our audience, the people who joined us in this
Mm.
conversation?
Try on coaching, try on having a coach, try on being a coach. It is
hmm
an incredible experience.
hmm
How about for you?
I think the one thing I would want people to leave people with is that the ability to have coaching conversations with people doesn't just it will change you foundationally and fundamentally as a person and as a leader in ways that you would never have thought was possible. And I really don't think I'm overselling it when I say that. It really will
Mm.
transform how you show up as a person.
Mm.
So yeah. So don't forget that's whole human coaching, coach training, sorry, wholehumancoachtraining.com. And if you're interested just in finding out coaching in particular about our wayfinding process, you can find out more over at wholehuman.global. That is the place where we are always to be found. So thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Carol, for
Mm.
really for sharing with us and for all the work that you've done. I'm a life that's been changed by your work.
Mm.
And there are many people around the world who would say the same thing. And it's just such a pleasure and a privilege to be able to be in this space with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all.
Thank you for joining us. Take care.
Bye.